With 2 weeks in the books, it's time to look at some of the top rookies from the first 2 weeks of the season, see what the trends are, see what the stats are looking like, and see if some of these players are just going to go nuclear as we get deeper into the season. So today we're going to be looking at 10 of the top rookies from the first 2 weeks of the season. Before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out on these advanced metrics that are coming out on these players every single day. We're doing deep dives, a couple a day. We're doing 10 player lists. We're looking at the stats. We're giving you ideas, information to help you with the waiver wire, help you with trades, help you look for the future in the league, everything else to help you win your fantasy league. Hit that subscribe button. Stop missing out. But our first player is PUCA NACUA, and of course, he's already got 52 fantasy points on the year, has 35 targets at 39.3% target share. That's elite. A 40% target share, that's elite. That is top tier among wide receivers. Cooper Kupp might be back soon, but you know what? He's still going to be used. He's still going to get his opportunity. If that drops a little bit, that's still a top target share. Think about that. If that drops by 10%, that's still a top target share. That's still one of the tops in the leagues. That is a good thing to see. 136 air yards a game. So even if that drops a little bit and he gets 100 air yards a game, that's something you want. Even if he gets 80 air yards a game, that's something you want because he's getting the ball. It's pushed downfield to him. Those are good numbers. Even if we see it decrease a good bit here, it's still good numbers. And the thing is, the Rams are running 80 plays a game. They're passing it a lot. They're on fire right now when they're moving the football, when they're trying to keep the game script alive. The thing about that, we may see a decrease in some of these games when it comes to overall volume. But the same thing is, if the game script is fire, then we're going to see a lot of passes. We're going to see a lot of targets flowing to these receivers. PUCA NACUA is going to be one of them. He's running a lot of routes. He's getting a huge opportunity rating on this team. He's getting a lot of chances to score fantasy points. Next is Bijan Robinson. He is a generational talent. He is the LaDainian Tomlinson of running backs right now, whether you want to hear that right now or not, even though he's 2 games into his career. We've been watching this since high school. We've been pegging this since high school, and it manifested. You know what? We do that with a lot of players, and that doesn't always come true, but this one felt so good over the years. You knew it was bound to happen, but to this extent, it's good to see. 41.5 fantasy points right now, sharing a backfield with Tyler Algier, but Tyler Algier is just really the meat shield to keep Bijan from getting too much workload, for him getting run down. That's a good thing to see. That's going to help the longevity of his career. He's getting a 54.1% opportunity share, 11 targets, and a 23% target share. That's good for an average wide receiver. That's good to get you almost wide receiver 2 numbers. That's good. That is good for a wide receiver and as a running back here that's just played 2 games into his career. That is good. We got a lot of upside here. We got a lot of good things. He's running 47 routes, 78.3% route participation rate. He is on the field a lot. He is on there in passing downs a lot, and whether they're trailing or they're ahead, the game script calls for him. The game script calls for him. He leads the league with 11 missed tackles. He led college football last year in missed tackles. This is what Bijan Robinson does, and he did it instantly, and he's only going to get better. Next, Jordan Addison. PPR, 32.3 points on the season, has been looking good, been getting good opportunity. The Vikings have been running at a fast pace. They're running about 76 plays per game right now in the first 2 games of the season. They were top 4 in pace of play last year. We're going to see that continue because that seems to be a steady trend here. So the pace of play, the passing volume is going to help Jordan Addison score fantasy points here, even though he's not the wide receiver 1. 11 targets and a 12% target share. Look for that to increase throughout the year because he's a rookie. He's getting acclimated to the game. Things should ramp up a little bit. They drafted him in the first round, but the fact that he's on the field, he's got 67 routes and a 72% route participation rate to his name, means good things are happening. He's seeing 85 air yards per game. That is something you want from your wide receivers. He's not running all his snaps in the slots. This is good opportunity for a young wide receiver. I get it. The numbers aren't bonkers right now, but wait for him to develop. Wait for him to ramp up. This offense is throwing the football. Jordan Addison should be seeing some targets. The target share should increase. The routes should increase. The volume should increase. as we move deeper into the season and into year 2. Zay Flowers, he's that dude. He's that dude. 28.5 points. Slower game last week as the game script was weird. But the Ravens are going to Raven. And they're going to have those up and down game scripts with the wide receivers when you got a tight end getting like 25 to 50% share of the targets. You got a running quarterback. But Zay Flowers looks like he's going to be the team's wide receiver one for a long time. 15 targets and almost a 30% target share. You want a 30% target share with your top dog wide receiver. That is a good thing to see. You want to buy in on a wide receiver who's got a 27 to 30% target share. You want that. You're also running a lot of routes. The air yards are a little bit low. He's getting those short to intermediate targets. But we know there's potential for deep balls here because he's got that speed. He can get downfield. He's nuanced. Give him a little time to really increase those air yards. And really, we got just 2 games in. The trends aren't as sticky as if we had a half a season, full season, or a quarter of a season. Usually, you want to go back 3 games and look because if you go 4, 5, 6 games, there's too many variables with guys in and out of lineup and stuff to really pinpoint trends. But right now, things are looking good for Zay Flowers on a macro standpoint because he's getting a lot of targets. He's looking good on the field. He's got that speed. He's got that nuance. Zay Flowers is on the up. Next is Tank Dell, a hot waiver wire claim for the week. And the Texans are doing the right thing, letting their quarterback play. They're letting their rookie quarterback play and learn the game, letting him fall on his face as he learns to walk. And that's what you need to do with your quarterbacks. And he is looking good doing it for a rookie. Context-wise, he is looking good doing it. They're slinging the rock. They're moving the football. They're playing to the game scripts. 80 plays ran per game. And this is allowing some of these wide receivers to hit. You're talking about Bobby Woods. You're talking about Nico Collins. We're talking about Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz is getting a little bit of run. Tank Dell, hot waiver wire claim. He's running 70 routes, 64.2% route participation rate. Already has 26 fantasy points. Had a good game last week. Not running all his snaps in the slot, so they're moving him to the outside. They're moving him around a little bit, so he's not just pinpointed as a slot receiver due to his size, because he is a very nuanced player, has some speed. We saw that in college. We saw that coming out for the draft. We're seeing that in preseason, and now we're seeing that now. 14 targets, 16% target share. Expect that to ramp up a little bit throughout the season. Again, these younger players need a ramp-up time. You need to let them simmer in the crock pot a little bit. Tank Dell is simmering in the crock pot. The juices are going. We're seeing some good things coming out of him. 64.5 air yards per game. Maybe that can increase a little bit, but still, we're getting volume. We're seeing the team push the ball. A lot of good things coming out here. He's a guy that is going to have some boom weeks. He's going to have some bust weeks. It's going to go off and on throughout the season. But he's a rookie, and he's doing some things. Next is Jayden Reed. 26 fantasy points on the year. Watson has been out. However, he's a good player. Broke out with 2 different collegiate programs. Got drafted in the 2nd round. Top 50 pick. Seen 13 targets in 2 games with a 25% target share. That's a good share of targets. That means you got a good stranglehold of the volume in the passing game, even with Watson back. I don't see that dialed back too much. Even though he's running just 38 routes and a 66.7 route participation rate, I don't see that being dialed back too much. I imagine there's just different roles they're in, and they're going to run in the role because I think he's still going to see a decent target share. 77 air yards per game. Things are going to eventually click for Jayden Reed. Maybe Watson being back is going to help them. It's going to alleviate some of the coverage. It's going to stretch things out a little bit, and maybe things are going to be open a little bit more over the middle. I'm looking for that, but we're looking at the volume here. Looking pretty good for a rookie wide receiver. Let's see some pop-off game scripts. Let's see what that's going to look like for Reed, but looking pretty good for a rookie wide receiver. I'm going to say it that much. Next, ROSCHON Johnson. He is simmering right now. He's that young running back prospect who's got that size-adjusted athleticism that you're waiting to pop off. And we got a few of them in the league right now because this was a very good running back class that dumped some good running backs into NFL. And you're just waiting. The waiting game for rookie running backs is a hard thing to do. But really, you got to exercise patience with these guys. But we are seeing some trends here. Already has 23 fantasy points in 2 games, 9 targets, and a 14% target share. And think about this. The Bears' offense is wonky. It's up and down, or mostly down, however you want to say it. But again, running backs who are getting touches, running backs who are explosive, who have size, who are on the upswing, are what you want here. Also seeing a 35.2% opportunity share. Only has 9 rushing attempts in 2 games, but he's used in a passing game. Part of those targets, though, were used in a game script dependent scenario. However, they're going to be in a lot of weird game script dependent scenarios anyways. However, we're just watching him develop throughout the season, because there's going to be a time where they're just going to have to take the chains off. They're going to have to let him roll, and we're going to have to see what happens with Roschon Johnson, because he does have some juice, he does have some wiggle, and he does have the potential to be a big factor in this offense. Marvin Mims had a big week last week. 2nd round draft pick. The Broncos did not have many picks in this year's draft. They did not need to go wide receiver. Well, they kind of did, but they had a lot of other spots they needed to cover. Marvin Mims fell to them. Even though they didn't have many other picks, they could have went free agency, patched up some holes, and really tried to navigate through the draft. And they said, hey, we need Marvin Mims. This dude's a baller. And really, when you look at the metrics from a market share standpoint and compare him from the guys in the first round, he's not too far off from them. If not, he's competing with them. And the thing about that, the Broncos knew that, and they knew they were getting a deal, and they made this draft pick. They made it happen. And he is a deep threat who's nuanced, who plays bigger than his size. We've been talking about Marvin Mims all offseason long. He was the deal in rookie drafts at the wide receiver position. 23 fantasy points on the year, most of them from last week. Only ran 16 routes in 2 games. 4 targets in 2 games. 94 total air yards. The thing about him is you're just going to have to wait for this steak to marinate in the fridge before you throw it on the grill. And the thing about that is once he's on the grill, it's going to run hot because he can run deep. He can get those deep targets. He's nuanced. He's got ball skills. This offense is very ambiguous. They're going to need to make some stuff happen. He's young. He's got draft capital behind him. And there's a lot of good things in his prospect profile. Not all of these rookies come out of the gate week 1, week 2, and fire. He's already flashed for us. And it's a little flash. It's a little bit of something. But you know what? I'm not surprised in week 8, 9, 10, or whatever, he starts giving you some games. Next, JAHMYR GIBBS. And we got to talk about him because he's being used a lot in the passing game. A 16% target share for a young running back like this who's sharing reps with David Montgomery is huge. And David Montgomery might be out this week. Of course, he'll be sharing with Craig Reynolds. But GIBBS should trend up throughout the year. He should trend up. And I want him using the passing game. I want him using space, because that's where he should be used. He's an electric player. He should not be grinded between the tackles. We don't want him to wear down. We want him for a full season. We want him seeing targets, and we want him to increase his usage throughout the season. That's what we're seeing. We have 20 fantasy points on the year, 14 rushing attempts, ran 30 routes on 41.1% route participation rate. That is very good for a running back. That is very good. Expect that to ramp up. This team's going to be in shootouts. This team's going to see some opportunity. And you know what? When they get Jameson Williams back and he's running 9 routes all the time, that's going to stretch things out. That's going to give him some room in the short to intermediate to see some of those targets and break some stuff free. Look for JAHMYR GIBBS just to increase his workload immensely throughout the season. Next, Sam LAPORTA. Fun player to watch here at the tight end position. He's also getting a lot of run, 20 fantasy points. He's running a lot of routes for a tight end. Has a decent target share for a tight end, a 16.7% share. This is a team that's going to be in a lot of shootouts. He might even be on waivers in your league. And if he is, you need to look at him. With tight ends, though, from fantasy football, play the matchups. And then also with the matchups, look at the workload metrics. How are they getting targeted? How often? How many routes are they running? Are they in the slot a lot? Sam LAPORTA is getting a lot of opportunities. He is a very talented tight end prospect from Iowa. And he really was a good discount, a good steal for the Lions in the draft. And now we got to talk about the quarterbacks. I wanted to do it this way, so we did not exclude some of the other good players when we did our top 10 list. So really, we're doing 13. Let's talk about the quarterbacks, though. Anthony Richardson, tremendous for fantasy, and we knew that. We knew there could be some rookie blues in this game, but we're talking about all rookie quarterbacks that come out, and we're just going to throw that in there. However, Anthony Richardson is great for fantasy football. You're getting that rushing production. He's slinging the rock. He started last game off 6 for 10, so he's doing the good things. They're scheming him up well, and he's a good developmental quarterback with a ton of upside. Probably going to shatter a lot of rookie records for fantasy football scoring at the quarterback position this year. If he's healthy and on the field, I look for that to happen from a fantasy football scoring scenario. He's a guy who's really going to up the rankings in Dynasty. He was either 101 or 102 in your rookie drafts, depending on how you value the quarterback position in 2 QB leagues. And then CJ Stroud. I really like what the Texans are doing here. They're letting him play ball. They're letting him throw the ball all over the yard. They're not constraining him. They're letting him learn the game. They're giving him opportunities. They're letting him sling it downfield. They are giving him an opportunity to just learn the NFL and develop. And you know what? For context scenarios here, as a rookie, he's looking good. He's looking good. We got 32 fantasy points out of him. He's pushing game scripts. He's getting these wide receivers to eat a little bit. There's a lot of good things coming out of CJ Stroud. Bryce Young's the rookie quarterback who's been very volatile during the start of his season. I think I'm very, very, very on the up when I'm talking about that. But you know what? There are some good things out of his game when coming out of Alabama. Allow him to marinate a little bit. It's his rookie season. You know what? It might take him a couple years. His team's developing. They're building. They got some older pass catchers there. They got some younger pass catchers who are developing. You really need this team to develop a little bit longer. Then be patient and then see if he can hit his upside or untapped potential from there. But right now, 21 fantasy points in 2 games, about 10 or so in each game. Kind of what you would expect from a slower paced team with a rookie quarterback. Again, from fantasy, he's probably just sitting on your waiver wire. Unless you're in a 2 QB league and you gotta just grasp quarterbacks when you can get them. I understand about that. But those are 10 rookies who are turning up right now, either by workload or by overall sheer fantasy football production. We also covered the quarterbacks today and how they're affecting fantasy football as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Stop missing out on this content. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.